Okay, hi everybody. This is Razan Hamid, and
And I'm the Dr. Michael Urban.
oh my God, okay, and welcome to Dirty Dishes. We are very excited to talk to you today and launching this podcast. Again, this has been a project in the making for a year now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
We've been talking about it for a while, and so yeah, we want to formally welcome you to this podcast. We will be posting this on multiple platforms, but for now, again, as we said, we're using social media to make it accessible for everyone to take a look at it and interact and engage with us on this podcast. So let's tell you a little bit about this. About
So again, so we hope we want you guys to engage. You're reaching out to us directly with questions or comments or feedback. And dirty dishes, again, if you think about, I'm not sure how many people like to wake up in the morning or go to bed or come home to a sink full of dirty dishes. But again, a lot of times you have to do something you have to address, and that's sort of like the premise again of why this podcast came around. So we wanted to really, scratch the surface and start digging into that pile of dishes and start hitting some topics that people sometimes know they're there and don't want to talk about, or have just talked about and there's not a public platform to really bring us forward. So again, Razan and I have put out positionality statements a little bit more explaining the perspective we're coming from, and how we're gonna sort of what we're bringing to the table when we have these conversations. But again, we want to hear from you also. So again, leave comments, leave feedback for us to look at. Email us directly if you have to, and just reach out. Again, I think the more we can talk about it, the less dirty dishes there are, and the conversation we can have in a civil way is important. And again, if your opinion differs from it or we missed an opinion or viewpoint, we want to hear it. And hopefully, on some of the podcasts, we'll have some other people joining us to help just bring in those different perspectives. And even sometimes we may bring up points that maybe not be our own personal ones, but just stuff that we know is out there, just to make sure the conversation and different viewpoints are there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the bottom line of this is we have to be able to come together, talk about things with differing perspectives and views because we do come from different backgrounds and different, opinions and we see different perspectives to things. Everyone has different roles. We don't just do one thing. We teach, we treat, we talk to one another, we serve, we advocate, we lead. So, of course, everyone will have different roles and perspective on things. So, actually, the idea that we have all the same opinion about anything is just, it's not realistic. It's
Boring.
fiction.
It's
And boring
boring.
too.
The world would be so boring, but I think it's a good point. I think if you look at what's going on in the world today, there's so much these polarizations of people wanting to say it's my way or the highway,
Right.
and not allowing discussion to happen and really trying to stifle communication. So I
Yeah.
think again, I agree. I think we have to have these conversations and allow that open opinion. Hey, and I can tell you right now, Razan and I will probably say, yeah, good point, or I see it differently from time to time in conversations. And that's
Right.
what her and I do that often in conversations. And here we are, we're still laughing, smiling, and having coffee or drinks together afterwards. So
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. So empathy is the core of these episodes that you will see, the core of the conversations. I mean, we teach our students and our kids again about empathy, so we might as well, lead by example and have these conversations with empathy. And like Mike said, if we have different opinions about things, engage, talk to us directly. I mean, we're colleagues by the end of the day. And the OT again, I think I mentioned this earlier. We're a small world, no matter how many of us there are. We are a smaller profession relatively, so chances are we will bump into each other in conferences or, somewhere. So
I
engage with
hope
us.
that bump into people in conferences.
Yeah, yeah, conferences. Speaking of conferences, I'm really excited about the upcoming conference in April. It's not very upcoming, but we're gearing up toward Inspire 2026. So just a shameless plug
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, get
The
ready.
more.
Okay, so this is why, again, welcome again to Dirty Dishes, and this is why we started this podcast. So we have a lot to talk about, but before we do, I just wanna, like Mike said, we posted our positionality statements. This is who we are, and this is what why, where we're coming from. Um, Disclaimer, very clear disclaimer. We fill a lot of roles, Mike and I, whether it's current or former board directors, currently educators at Columbia University, clinicians, leaders. We don't represent these roles in this podcast. We represent ourselves as occupational therapy community members. Everyone is entitled to share their own perspectives, regardless of the roles and the titles they fill. And this is what we are. So these opinions don't represent Columbia, they don't represent AOTA or any other organizations whatsoever.
Yep. Yeah, and if we talk about an organization, it's only talking out of, pure love to the profession to make sure that these organizations are, the work sometimes gets overlooked that these organizations are doing, that AOTA sometimes does, or MBCOT, or what's going on within our profession. And, we're all busy, so we're just trying to stay afloat. Right now, with the federal government, we can see the profession, you can see in higher ed. If clinicians aren't aware, you can see about how the
Mhm.
change in just being able to borrow loans. So do we have future clinicians going to be able to come in the pipeline? What's going to happen? So thinking about the future of the profession, I think we really have to be looking forward and making sure that we are supporting these organizations and making sure that any little thing that they're doing um, is brought to light. And so many times as a past board member, past speaker of the RA, the only time I ever heard members get riled up is when it was something they felt was wrong. But again, I think it's they overlook all the good stuff that's going on and the good things that are happening and don't realize sometimes why something was done because they miss it. And
Yeah.
I can say I was guilty of that too from time to time until I got very involved in my association and even the state associations. As a past president, also here in Connecticut, I think we really have to be mindful of that.
Mhm.
And like you said, Razan, empathy, right?
Mhm.
I think leading with love, and this podcast is being recorded in December, and the height of holiday seasons from multiple cultures and religions,
Mhm.
all centered around giving and love and empathy and togetherness. And I think it's a great time to start and kick this off.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And you mentioned some of the challenges that I think it's on everyone's mind these days, and the student loans issues and like how that's going to affect our profession and the workforce going forward, and who comes into the profession and who are we attracting. And this can, it has a lot of implications. I'm sure you're not, if you're listening to this, I'm sure you've heard it some way or another. And I can tell you, it's like I can see from the post from AOTA, and their work is being done. I know for a fact that a lot of the staff, the OT PAC, the president of AOTA, Dr. Anvarzadeh, they are working constantly on supporting how we can, advocate for ourselves in this issue. So this is an important time to pay attention to what's happening.
And excitingly too, if you're not sure, if you aren't a member of AOTA PAC or you haven't read the headlines, we also have an occupational therapist out of Western New York, the Buffalo region, Timothy Kennedy, who is also in
Mhm.
now Congress advocating for this too. So we have someone right there at the front lines that can connect and advocate for us also. And I think this comes back to the question again of where we wanted to sort of frame our conversations to start around identity,
Mhm.
and professional identity, and think about really talking about how we view ourselves, I think, and how we what we do projects to our consumers and the other people, the public, and how, do I keep my R? Do I not keep my R? I don't see the value in it, some people say, or that's just another thing. I'm licensed, I have to be licensed to practice, but really by not, maybe not dropping that R, what does that mean?
Mhm.
By not being a member of AOTA, not being a member of your state associations, not being a member of the other, COTADs and, different MDI network groups, depending on your preferences.
Yeah,
Uh, I think what does that really mean at the end of the day?
yeah.
I think that's where we want to start framing what's going on in our country and what's going on in our profession and sort of look at that professional identity. And
Hmm.
we'll have more talks about different aspects of our identity, I think, going forward. But
Yeah,
correct me
yeah.
if I'm wrong. I think the first dirty dish we want to tackle is this one topic here. So.
Right. No, no, for sure. I mean, we will talk more about identity because identity is a complex term that, you can look at it in different lights. There's personal identity, professional identity, work identity, etc. But I do want to say one thing. It is very important that when we talk about membership, there's a difference between commercial membership and professional membership. In a commercial membership, like, we usually think of like it's a transactional membership. Like I pay these dues and you give me this service instead, you give me something in return. And while to some extent it may be true for professional membership, like, your OT state association membership or AOTA or, being part with NBCOT with maintaining your R status. One thing about the professional membership that it's a non-transactional membership. Although you could get like, continuing education, you could get access to free resources, and that's part of the transaction, but it's more important that it does amplify our professional identity as a profession so we don't get into situations where we recognize as non-professional. So what I'm saying is we have to start owning our part when it comes to our professional identity. And what can you contribute to the professional identity? I can't, a professional identity is just not one person or organization. It's the collective of a group of people coming together and representing a profession. One way of you being a member with your state association or with AOTA. And if you're not part of it, then you're not identifying with that profession in a way or another. Because again, AOTA is not a commercial membership; it's a professional identity. It's a professional organization that protects that identity. So I agree with you. The idea of identity, it's a big responsibility, and we need to pay attention to how we're, helping or not helping in maintaining that professional identity at the national level.
Right. And I think the national and also you brought the states too. I think, people forget the power, that goes on between states and national. Again, you used to say, "Oh, I just have to be a member of my national. I'll take care of everything." But states also, with changes right now in Washington, D.C. going on, with cuts to funding at the state level, we're going to see ripple effects in
Mm,
schools. We're going to see
yeah.
it in other areas from there. And I think, again, really being that you have to be a member of both. As a past president, I could tell you, talking to other state presidents at the time, where they were dismissed.
Mm,
Their state legislators, they went to give testimony before something to advocate for OT to be included or not to be cut from something. And I can remember the one state president from Michigan telling me she was told to, I'm sorry, you represent less than 10% of the OTs in your state. So that means the other 90% don't care,
yeah.
right? So like your testimony really matter. And I think that's the when I tell that story over again, people have to think about again the power of, like you said, it's there is that membership where it is professional, it's our identity. But at the same time, people are looking at those numbers. When AOTA goes down before on Capitol Hill, imagine if they can say we represent 50, 60, 70, 80, 100% of the profession. Like that's thousands and thousands of people. And all your legislators are looking for votes.
Yeah.
So again, they're looking for the voting. If we talk to lobbyists, that's what they're looking for. They want to hear their votes. They want to hear their constituents talking to them. But in the day, I hate to say they're looking for votes too, right? They want to make sure they're going to get reelected and keeping people happy. And these associations and the AOTA PAC supports both parties. They're not an AOTA does a great job of being, nonpartisan. A lot of our state associations from I know are nonpartisan also. Our profession tries to keep that neutral line
Yeah.
because again, we're about helping people. We're here for the greater good of people, keeping people engaged in occupations. And I think we have to really think about how much I hear people say I can't afford it.
Mm,
Repurpose get cut. You know, AOT was very, very instrumental in getting during the therapy caps of Medicare Part B, getting OT separate from PT and speech. We were going to be lumped all together and have to share that pot of money. AOT was effective at getting us separate.
mm,
Now imagine right now the Department of Education. Who cares if they don't want to say we're not a professional,
mm,
right? That's a classification the Department of Education is saying how they classify the loans. But who if they can say you're not in the professional category, but you're still going to get X amount of dollars for higher ed to make sure students can get through the pipeline, right? I think we have to look from that standpoint. As we look at states, again, state associations are very few of them. If they have a paid person, it's maybe one or two people. It's all volunteer.
yeah.
All positions, all your organizations, all your state conferences are organized. These are people volunteering their time to do it. AOTA has a huge resource of, great paid employees who are working day and night to advocate for us, to provide us great content for education, materials, keeping us up to date on current trends and literature. At the end of the day, though, they also have a huge support with the volunteers also doing a lot of work too.
Mm.
And I think people think that if I join my state or or AOTA, I have to do something. And I think you're making that part that you can just pay and take in the material of them making updates.
Yeah.
Here in Connecticut, if I'm a member of my state association, I can go to continuing education events for free. Outside of the big conferences, their monthly events doesn't cost me a dime, and I can maintain my licensure and registration. Um, so I think, how much I spend on a latte, if I want to buy a fancy drink at Starbucks, if I cut one of those out a week, I can easily,
Yeah.
pay for memberships. And I'm a member of New York and Connecticut state associations, on
Mm.
top of AOTA. I could pay for all three of those
Yeah.
easily from that and not have to worry about where's the money going to come from.
Right.
Uh,
No, I agree. Like, and again, it's like not to minimize the cost issue. There's always cost somewhere. And to your point, it's one example. Like, if you prioritize like, something like that, you will always find the mean. We're very resourceful. Like everyone are more aware of like, their finances and like how they can, make it happen. And I know like AOTA is providing a lot of different options to cater to those, financial needs and situations. And whatever works for people works for people. And if it's really money that is issue, I like we can't judge. Everyone is aware of their own abilities and what they can and cannot do. But the idea is, I heard a lot of people would say, it's like, I don't want to be a member. I don't get anything in return. That hurts. When I hear people saying that, it's like, what are you, what else do you need the association to do to make it worth your attention and your while? Because I see the work that is being done with AOT. Again, the staff behind the scenes, the amount of effort that takes to put ourselves out there, lobbying, again, advocating in every corner. And again, I do want to give a shout out to our president's right now, and she always calls for the four C's, the connection, community, courage, and coalition building. And I can't think of a better time where these are relevant. We are our own coalition, and we need to build more coalitions with other people. I mean, this is a crisis time, whether it's, payment cuts for clinicians, whether it's the student loans issue, whether it's, the title of being professional or not. So it does take courage. We do need to keep building the coalition. We connect together better, and we have to build our community to have that identity clear and loud and unmistakable.
And I think we're in the society of like this, like, just give me, right? Like
Mm.
instant gratification type thing. And I think, as I'm looking like, you look at the prices of like membership. I mean, you can join AOTA's, plus, membership, the middle tier, and get access to continuing education for free.
Mm.
And it's less than $22 a month.
Yeah.
When you think about that, you adding your state associations again, some charge a small fee if you get to go, some don't charge a fee. Again, you can get, and for me, I see AOTA, I see my state association, I see other state associations. I'm on their social media platforms also just to see what they're doing across the country.
Mm.
And I can see them doing amazing things or asking for advocacy work or asking these great sessions for talking and registration. And I'm like, oh, I want to go do that. I want to go do that. I don't have the time. I,
Right.
I don't have the time with four kids. I don't have the time sometimes to do them, but they're there,
Mm.
right? It's just me making the effort of doing it. I can't wait for them to say, oh, here, I'm going to sit here
Yeah.
and put it in front of it and turn it on. It's there. But again, I love reading through like the magazines and looking at the articles that people are writing and submitting and the novel ideas that people are doing.
Mm.
As a past speaker, that's why I always love looking to see like what's new, what's unique, where are we going to next, right?
Yeah.
Public health came up.
Yeah.
That whole group, I could see those groups. I joined their Facebook pages and start hearing what they're doing, the chatter, the excitement,
Mm.
uh, and where that group like that was growing, where that is going, it continues to grow. Or people talk about, sex, something that we often, sometimes people feel embarrassed talking about that, but people want to know that they're a new spinal cord or had a stroke.
Yeah.
How do I how do I still engage intimacy? How do I have intimacy with someone? I think again, there's a lot of literature now. There's a lot going in there, and that's just taking the time. If you can go on your social media platforms and scroll,
Mm.
while you're, if I could do that for hours while I'm on the train ride between, Connecticut and New York going to work, why can't I go in and read an article or see what AOT is doing or what my
Yeah.
state's doing and do something from there? I think It's like, picking the dirty dishes, right?
Right.
Knowing what you need for the day and going back and scrubbing the ones that you need versus just grabbing
Yeah.
them at random. I think it's to be more intentional with our time too.
Right. I want like, a little dirty, small little plate. That one I talk about. It's like, these people who don't um they see it as like, oh, I don't want to be a member because like I don't need it. I don't need it to be a member of the AOT. It doesn't do anything to my work. It doesn't do anything to my whatever. The question is, you get to enjoy the benefit of what the profession advocates for. You don't mind when the profession advocates for higher payments or,
Yeah.
whatever bills that we put forward. And that's, you're okay with, enjoying that. You wouldn't say it's like, oh, no, you know what? I'm not a member. I don't get to enjoy this. But when it comes down to, we need you in numbers. We need you in advocacy. We need you in heart and effort. You stand back and you say it's like, nah, it's not for me. So is there like a selfish issue here? Is it an understanding? It could be a clarity. It's like maybe some people don't know what it means to be part of the profession. You said there is a power in number.
Right.
Your presence as a member, as an active member of your state association or AOTA, it has its weight and
Hmm.
it's needed. And it's not just again about that transaction. What are you doing for me? You have to we have to think bigger. We have to think collectively. We're not just individual members. We're a whole profession, and we're seeing it now. It's affecting us now.
And there's other like groups that I belong to, OT, things like Legacies and Leaders or like COTAB, where they have stuff going on. They have call out, hey, we need people to help do this. And I would love to. But again, my time with, again, I have four little kids, people don't know. Oldest is 10, youngest is 3.5. I mean, I'm in the thick of it with young little kids and trying to work. I don't have time to maybe do all the other groups, but still, I want to be there as a body. So when they go out and they are doing something, they have, I guess at least still support them.
Mhm.
There are some of the NDI networks where I, you know, I want to support them, but I can't, I don't match the identity, the intent that that group is there for. But they have scholarships,
Yeah,
and can I give some money to the scholarship every year so they can then help fund an OT student and promote student to help someone through to maybe cover a textbook or something like that.
mhm.
So there are ways I think that we can be invested and show that we're invested where, yes, people say, oh, it's money, it's money, it's money. But again, I will look at it, again, I used to look at even for my kids buying something like a reading app where they had online books. I spent $80 for the year and all four kids can be on that same thing for
Mhm.
$80 for the year and do as much reading as they want to on an iPad, which is great when we're out somewhere rather than watching video games. Or I can go out to dinner and drop that on maybe on a couple of
Mhm.
drinks and,
Yeah,
a meal,
yeah,
one thing. Or so again, I think it's those priorities too. Like what's a priority? And then like you said, I can sit back and save all that money, but still reap the benefits. But how much are we missing
right.
by not having those people at the table with us and
Yeah,
being a member of our state and our national organizations and the other
yeah,
organizations to be a voice to say, hey, because again,
right.
when AOTA does a reach out or the state does a reach out,
Mhm.
they can reach out to all these other networks and other
Yeah,
groups. I don't want, there's so many of them, I don't want to just pick out one. I feel like I'm favoring one. And they could, you could sit there and try to sit there and they could help promote. And I see them, they promote the information. They also call out what the state and national organizations are doing locally to rally members who are not members of the association, make sure people know the word.
right.
It's a great grassroots efforts that we have in this profession. And I think we have to really tap that and
Yeah,
just be a member.
right. And also, it's like another point is like, no, you are not being part of this. Whatever membership it is. What does that say? It's like, are you not proud of being a member? Are you not, do you not identify with the profession? So, I mean, like, there's a lot of questions that doesn't look good for any one of us coming from the outside, like, looking from the outside in. It's like, why aren't you a member with your profession? And a lot of people may say, I don't agree with certain things that the organization is doing. That's fair. That is fair. But the idea is the retreating out of, the ground and saying, it's like, I don't want anything to do with this. That's not the answer either. That is
Well,
that's a lazy, approach to it. It's like, no, I
but
just want to be nothing
yeah,
to do with
if
it.
you don't agree, I'm sorry to cut you off. If you don't agree, how are you going to sit there and be a change then?
Right. Yeah.
If you leave,
Right.
then that be whatever you don't like will be, especially if there's tons of people that say we don't like it and we all leave,
Yeah. Yeah.
then you basically let whatever it is continue on versus being in there and becoming involved.
Yeah.
And maybe saying, hey, and have a civil, I think civilly too, because you just come in yelling and screaming, right? Razan, I don't like the rainbow on your shirt and start attacking you on it. I can sit there and do that, but where does that go, right? But again, I think if we can try to
Yeah.
work together, that's how you make change and make us better. And I think both sides have to be listening to all perspectives and viewpoints. Again, someone watching this may disagree with what we're saying right now.
Right.
Hopefully they'll reach out to us and talk and we can have a conversation or
Yeah.
go from there. And maybe we overlooked something or maybe they misinterpreted something because again, you bring your own lens to the conversation. So you may not hear
Yeah.
what you hear. Honestly, you don't hear, but what I'm trying to say, you hear what you want to hear almost through your lens.
Right.
And like, it's like we can all watch the same TV show or the same thing or read the same statement and interpret our own different way. And I think that's what happens so often where people get maybe jaded and leave.
Right. And I read a very nice quote today on LinkedIn, and I can't remember who said it, but it said, silence is safe, but it makes you invisible.
Hmm.
And this makes perfect sense for those who's like, I don't like the organization. I get nothing out of it. I don't see the point. All that's you being like silent from, speaking up, against something, but you're invisible. Like, by the
Yeah,
end of the day, you're just a name registered somewhere, if you're registered.
yeah,
And you just, staying in the shadows, which doesn't help anybody.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I think we're coming to almost the ending of the first
yeah.
episode. So again, the point is we need to highlight that identity. We're very proud to be occupational therapy practitioner, and I'm sure those who are listening are too. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the profession. So there are different ways of showing your identity, but one of the loudest way is belonging to your state associations, AOTA, or other organizations.
I have to agree, and I think I could think as a educator and also a clinician. When I pull up my profiles for insurance companies, they want to know am I a member of a state association, professional associations, and they actually publicize that to consumers. I
Yeah.
can tell right now as I'm looking for a primary care physician because I had a change of insurance. I'm looking, seeing, not only, I'm looking at just who they are, what they specialize in, I'm not looking at the person closest to me. I'm looking at their background. Are
Mm.
they engaged? Do they have stuff that aligns to me? And actually, I have United Healthcare right now, and they actually have a profile match. You put your preferences in, and they'll actually match if that person aligns with your preferences
Yeah.
with certain things, and not just, do you want a male or female provider? It's more like languages and stuff like that. But they go down the rabbit hole of other questions.
Yeah.
Same thing with students when they're looking at educators going to school. They're looking at, are you engaged? What are you doing? Are you a member of this? Are you a member of that? And I think
Yeah.
it speaks, and as we keep saying, I keep hearing people saying, "Oh, they don't do enough to promote to. We have to promote more to the consumers." You, by carrying your registration and your license and having that at the end of your name, your letters, shows that one, you are vested in these professions, in this profession, not professions, but you're
Yeah.
vested in this
Yeah.
profession. Whether you're an occupational therapy assistant or an occupational therapist,
Yeah.
you're vested. And as a student, a lot of these things also have. You could join as a student. Like our students that they come to Columbia, or they are out in California, but they live in a different part of the country and they're going across country.
Yeah.
They should be a member of the state that they're in school at and back home.
Yeah.
And those student membership fees are minimal. And that starts building your network and communicating and talking. And you start knowing what's going on across the country. That's how we help sometimes alert the national organization to what's going on locally. It's a two-way street.
Right. No, I agree. And so, like, we'd be remiss if we don't thank those who are members,
Yeah.
and encourage you to continue being a member, invite someone to be a member, because again, it's not the transaction of it, it's the statement you make of being a member with your state association, with the AOTA, because we need you. There is power in numbers to present your profession in a way or another. And those who are not members, we invite you join the crowd because we need you too. And if you have views that you don't agree, we'll speak up and let's make something out of them. But staying in the shadows is not a statement, it's the lack of it.
And if you know someone who is not a member and you'd like to buy them a gift, why not give them a gift?
Oh, Right.
If you're gonna buy something, why not do something? Give them something towards it, or maybe say, hey, this is towards it, or something like that, or a gift card towards getting the membership at a state or at the, national thing, rather than buying them a, sweater that may sit in the closet or something like that, or something else.
Oh yeah,
The
absolutely.
season of gift giving, why not give a gift of membership? Because it not only helps you, but it helps so many other people.
Right. Yeah. So let 2026 be the new year that you revisit this membership. What do you think of? And also like, um, check on that and ask questions. And if you don't know, reach out to us, reach out to, someone you know. Chances are there'll always be someone who knows about memberships and like, what's in it for them too. So okay, so that's all we have today. Talk about identity and our membership in any organization that you identify with. So, but we will talk more about identity in other episodes and other aspects of identity. So stay
A
tuned.
lot more different dishes to clean. So different topics, different dishes. And if you want a topic, you want something, let us know and we'll look into it. So give us the things you want to hear about.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Okay. Stay tuned for more.
all
See you
right.
next time.